The news ticker flashed red across every screen in the Pentagon. Beijing announces immediate halt on all rare earth exports. Inside the halls of power, it landed like a bomb. Phones started ringing, cutting through the stunned silence. A four-star general, mid-briefing, stopped cold. His aide handed him a secure phone. The voice on the other end was urgent. "It's real, they've turned off the tap." The general looked at the digital map, a web of global supply chains, watching critical nodes blink from green to catastrophic red. In that instant, the abstract threat of economic warfare became terrifyingly real. The world's most advanced military was suddenly vulnerable, not from a weapon, but a decision made thousands of miles away. The components for everything from missile guidance to stealth jets relied on a steady stream of materials from one country. That country had just stopped the flow. The silence in the room was heavier than any explosion. The ripple effect was immediate and brutal. On Wall Street, tech stocks plummeted. Silicon Valley faced a production nightmare. How do you build the next iPhone or electric car without the essential ingredients? The promise of a technological future now depended on the political whims of a rival. The world was waking up to a new reality. The headlines, the tensions, and the vulnerability were all real. For decades, America assumed global trade would always flow freely. We were wrong. The nation that controls the world's most critical resources controls the world, and right now, that nation is not the United States. There's a world of difference between owning a resource and truly controlling it. Owning means it sits within your borders, you can sell it, profit from it, but control is far more potent. Control means you dominate the entire supply chain, from extraction to refining to distribution. You set the price. You decide who gets it. History is filled with nations rich in resources but poor in power. Think of countries in Africa or South America, immense natural wealth, but the power stayed elsewhere. The country with the mines got royalties. The country with the refineries wrote the rules. Control is the invisible architecture of empire. It's the difference between being a landlord and being the king. A nation identifies a critical resource, invests in extraction and processing, and becomes indispensable. Other nations become dependent, their industries, economies, and militaries reliant on a steady supply. The controlling nation can offer deals to allies, embargo rivals, and shape global policy without firing a shot. This isn't just economics, it's national security. When your defense systems depend on components you can't make, you're vulnerable. Your military readiness can be threatened by a trade dispute or embargo. The nation with control holds veto power over your security. This is the ultimate form of leverage. The United States, once the master of this game, is now learning from the other side. Before oil, coal powered the world, and Britain was its master. Britain didn't just have coal, it built a civilization on it. British engineers pioneered the steam engine, fueling the Industrial Revolution. Coal-fired factories produced goods at unprecedented scale and speed. The Royal Navy's coal-powered steamships gave Britain global reach and dominance. Coaling stations became synonymous with British power. Other nations had coal, but Britain had the technology and industrial base. It controlled not just the resource, but the entire ecosystem. To industrialize, you played by Britain's rules. This dependency gave London immense leverage. The empire on which the sun never set was built on coal, but the monopoly faded as Germany and the US caught up and oil emerged. The Royal Navy's shift from coal to oil marked the end of an era. Britain's control over energy faded, and so did its superpower status. The lesson remained: control the energy, control the world. As Britain's coal empire waned, America rose on oil. The US didn't just discover oil, it mastered the entire oil life cycle. Rockefeller's Standard Oil built pipelines, tankers, and refineries, turning oil into the fuel of the modern age. The internal combustion engine and assembly line put America on wheels and made it the world's workshop. During World War II, America's oil production fueled Allied victory. After the war, US oil companies dominated global markets, striking deals worldwide. The dollar became the currency of oil, cementing US economic dominance. For decades, the world ran on oil, and America controlled the spigot. This gave Washington immense geopolitical leverage. But as domestic production peaked, America grew reliant on foreign oil. Middle Eastern nations realized their power and learned the value of control. Owning oil was good. Controlling its supply was the ultimate weapon. The stage was set for a dramatic shift in global power. The American century, built on oil, was about to face its first great shock. The lesson: dominance is never permanent. In 1973, OPEC used its power, declaring an oil embargo against the US and its allies. The effect was immediate. Oil prices quadrupled, and the Western world was choked off. American and European companies lost control. Power shifted to the producers. The crisis brought the US economy to its knees. Long gas lines, rationing, and recession. It was a humiliating moment for a superpower. The dependency that crept up quietly became a weapon. OPEC showed that control over a resource could be more powerful than military might. No invasion, no bombs, just a turned valve. The shockwave reshaped foreign policy and spurred a desperate search for new oil sources. The crisis shattered the illusion of endless, cheap energy. It was a brutal lesson in leverage. OPEC proved that a monopoly could achieve political and economic goals without force. The warning shot still echoes today as the world faces a new, even more concentrated monopoly. The West learned the danger of dependency, but not well enough. The pattern was set: discovery, monopoly, dependency, leverage. The next crisis would come from a different resource. What makes a resource strategic? 3 factors: essential, non-substitutable, and geographically concentrated. It must be vital for the economy or military, like coal for steam, oil for transport, or rare earths for technology. If there's no easy substitute, the resource holds real power. Rare earths are now critical. No alternatives for the magnets in advanced tech. Finally, if processing is concentrated in one country, that nation can control the market. When all 3 align, a simple element becomes a tool of immense geopolitical power. One nation can gain control over the global supply. Dependency and leverage follow. The stage is set for crisis. A new monopoly has emerged: rare earths, and China controls them. China's strategy began in the 1980s: invest in mining, refining, and undercut global competitors. Western mines and refineries shut down, unable to compete. By the early 2000s, China had total control over the supply chain. The US, once a leader, became dependent. Today, China controls about 90% of refined rare earths. This dominance makes OPEC's oil grip look weak by comparison. It's no accident. Decades of deliberate policy made it so. China recognized these materials as essential, non-substitutable, and now, geographically concentrated in their hands. The dependency stage is now firmly set. Rare earths are everywhere, hidden in the technology that defines our world. Your smartphone, wind turbines, and electric vehicles all rely on them. The green energy revolution is critically dependent on Chinese rare earths. Most alarmingly, America's national security is at stake. The F-35 fighter jet, submarines, and missiles all require rare earths. The US military's most advanced platforms depend on a supply controlled by a strategic rival. In 2010, China halted rare earth exports to Japan, causing panic and price spikes. It was a clear demonstration of leverage, a warning shot to the world. The question is no longer if China will use this weapon again, but when and against whom. The pattern is undeniable. Discovery, monopoly, dependency, leverage. The West is deep into dependency and has already tasted leverage. The final stage is collapse, when a nation's power crumbles if the supply is cut. The US and allies are scrambling to respond. But rebuilding supply chains takes years. We traded strategic resilience for short-term convenience. We ignored the lessons of history and let a rival gain a stranglehold on essential materials. The phone call in the Pentagon was a simulation, but the threat is real. Dependency is a form of submission. Relying on a competitor for critical components is not a viable strategy. The West has been warned. The clock is ticking. Will we act before our opponent says, "Checkmate"?